Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. You have tuned into our first webinar in 2022 in our New Mexico Recovery Series. Our mission is to create awareness of opportunities and resources for businesses and communities. We're kicking things off this year with an overview of the New Mexico Economic Development Department and to highlight our programs and updates. My colleague Felicia DePaula will be monitoring the chat and the question function, so feel free to post questions or comments, and we'll save them for the end of the presentation. We have a pretty packed schedule, so feel free to, we may not address all of the questions. I'll be recording the presentation and posting it on our YouTube channel, and I'll also be sending a copy of the recording to everyone that has registered. So I'll go ahead and get started. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Deputy Division Director, Sarah Gutierrez, to begin the presentation. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, everyone. I'm so glad that you're taking the time to be with us here today. Our Cabinet Secretary, Alicia Keys, had intended to provide an introduction to you all today. She was called away to a legislative committee hearing, so I'm just going to go through a little bit of an introduction that she had planned on providing you all. So we want you to know that these webinars that we host every month are really a big part of our mission at EDD, and that is getting the word out and connecting you to opportunities for your businesses and communities. We saw that during the pandemic, one of the biggest challenges is just to make sure people know about the help that is out there. Every month since the pandemic began, we've been working hard to be a megaphone for our partners to boost awareness of the many programs that have come online to give relief. You shouldn't have to come to Santa Fe to learn what's going on with your state government, and that's what we're trying to do through these webinars. I'm pleased that today we see participants from many areas of New Mexico: Clovis, Riberas, Cimarron, Española, Taos, Farmington, Roswell, Madrid, Chimayo, Jemez, Gallup, and many, many more. And of course, in addition to our metro areas, Farmington, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Las Cruces, we really want to reach the smaller communities, and we're so glad to see those folks represented here today. Today, we're going to turn the spotlight on our own department. We have our entire team on hand to give you an overview of all the exciting work our divisions are involved with and any new developments. With our JTip and LEDA programs, the EDD created 10,000 jobs in the past 3 years. We're very proud of that work. We're investing in outdoor recreation, aerospace, and international border zone, our Main Street communities. Our deals are gaining national attention. We have a lot going on. Part of the purpose of this webinar is to put a face to a name so you can follow up and help your business or your community become more resilient. Not only do we have these webinars, but we put out our weekly newsletters that have millions of dollars in opportunities and news for our businesses and communities. We are live streaming, we're podcasting. If it helps us get an opportunity in front of a business, we are on it. It takes all of us to work together. It's about us giving you the support you need to be successful. Our team is ready to go. We have a great group committed to make sure you are successful. When you are, we all are. Thank you, and remember, this is not the end of the line. Please reach out to us with any questions, phone calls, emails. It may take a few days during the legislative session for us to get back to you, but we will.
Oh, sorry, sir, do you want to go over the agenda, or do you want to just?
Sure. We will be, as Jennifer said, there's a packed agenda today. So we're going to be going through all of our programs. You'll be meeting many team members from those programs, and I won't read through all of these bullets, but you can see that we'll be covering a great array of information today. So the first thing we're going to look at is just a quick overview of the department's structure. For those of you who aren't aware, our Economic Development Department is an executive branch state agency. We have the Office of the Secretary that oversees the entire department. And then we have 4 main divisions. The Economic Development Division encompasses most of the programs for businesses and communities, the Film Division, the Administrative Services Division, and our Outdoor Recreation Division. The Administrative Services Division is our internal support for financials and et cetera. So they help us pay the bills and keep things moving on the inside so that we can help all of you outwardly.
All right, well, thank you so much, Sarah. Next up, our next presenter is Louise Marquez, who's the Region 5 Regional Rep. She can talk about the long title and introduce you to the team. Go ahead, Louise.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jennifer. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, yes. Yeah, and for everybody,
okay, good.
we have a lot of panelists, so if there might be some technical difficulties, so please be kind and patient.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jennifer, and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days to meet with us. We hope that the information we have to share is valuable to you. We know it is. We know it is, and we hope you can see the value as quickly, too. First of all, I'm going to introduce the Community Business and Rural Development Team. We are more commonly known as regional reps. There are 6 regions across the state. You can see how we're divided. I cover Region 5, so I'm in the southwest corner. Ms. Jennifer, if you could go ahead and scoot one page or one slide down. We're the outreach arm of the Economic Development Department. We exist to provide information, assistance, and connections with resources and programs. And not just NMEDD programs. There's many other outside partners that we will go ahead and connect you with if that's where your need lies. As I said before, the state is divided into 6 regions. Our boss made a quote once that I just absolutely loved, and I think this is really valuable. Regional reps should know 3 to 5 bullet points deep in every program. We're probably not going to walk you to the end of whatever program you're dealing with, but we want to make sure that we connect you with the person, not a website, the person that can go ahead and help you. And of course, LEDA is the exception to that, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, Jennifer, go ahead and scoot one more down. Here's our contact information. It's readily available, obviously, through this slide deck, as well as on the website and everything else. Please never hesitate to reach out to the regional rep. We are 100% here to make sure that you get the help that you need. Okay, and Jennifer, one more. I'd also like to discuss LEDA. LEDA is the Local Economic Development Act. It was created by constitutional amendment in the early 90s. Almost everybody's heard of LEDA. It allows the state to invest taxpayer dollars into private projects that will make a beneficial economic impact in a community. Additionally, the act is a voter-approved amendment to the anti-donation clause. And if anybody knows the anti-donation clause, that's the one that says taxpayer dollars cannot be invested in private projects. We're the exception to that, and that was approved by the voters. Okay, go ahead and scoot one more down. Thank you very much. Okay, so what can LEDA be used for? LEDA is not to go ahead and buy your new dining room table. LEDA can be used for land, building, and infrastructure. Next slide, please, Ms. Jennifer. So as far as land, the purchase of actual land, real estate. It can also be used for lease abatement. For a company that's going to go ahead and lease a facility, LEDA can be used in that instance. Okay, Jennifer, next slide, please. When we're talking about a building, it can be anything from new construction. It can be construction necessary to prepare a facility for your intended use. It can include architectural and engineering fees and other planning costs. It, however, does not include equipment or operating costs at all. So that's usually a big expense for a company. That's always important to keep in mind. If you have any questions, who are you going to talk to? Your regional rep, okay? So next slide, please, Ms. Jennifer. Okay, and the last use of LEDA is infrastructure. And I particularly like this slide because most people don't understand exactly, many people don't understand exactly what infrastructure is. You can have an absolutely perfect site, you can have everything you need, but if electrical doesn't reach that site, or gas, water, natural gas, if the roads aren't paved, that's another use for LEDA. So definitely important to keep in mind. Ms. Jennifer, next slide, please. So how is a potential LEDA project evaluated? We do a deep evaluation before awarding any funds. So financial strength is going to be looked at. We're going to examine your business plan. We're going to determine if it's actually a good fit for the community. New Mexico Economic Development will never invest in a project if it's detrimental or will adversely impact the community. So when we're evaluating a project, we're looking at all of these different things. Next slide, please, Ms. Jennifer. Evaluation criteria. As you can see on the slide, we're always going to look at capital expenditures, total capital expenditures, total jobs created, and the total payroll of those jobs. And we're going to be examining the community's need and their current economic condition. And we're also going to determine what we can expect in return on investment for investing those taxpayer dollars. With the information that we gather, our economists prepare an economic impact analysis to help the administrative branch determine how much the award amount should be, as well as the expected timeline that the state and community can realize the return on that investment. We're also going to confirm the company's financial strength to ensure that taxpayer dollars are invested wisely. Next slide, Ms. Jennifer. Okay, after fully vetting a project, we're going to move to an award letter, an offer letter, a formal application, which actually grabs deeper information, and then we have to go through the public process. So, okay, Ms. Jennifer, next slide here. The public process, and that's the one that I'm going to dive into a little bit here. LEDA projects by statute are approved via ordinance. Ordinance at the local level is law. And when an ordinance is approved, it requires 2 visits before that governing body. Side note, the reason the governing body is involved is because they're going to be the fiscal agent. Back to that anti-donation clause, we can't hand money directly to a private entity. So we're going to go through a fiscal agent who will track all of the spending and everything else. That requires approval of the ordinance in front of the governing body. So the first visit before the governing body is typically a permission to publish. There's other titles for it, but we're asking the governing body to allow us to, put an ordinance out there for approval. And then at least 14 days later, that depends on the community, their timeline, we'll come back for final approval. In that in between, the ordinance is available for the public to go ahead and evaluate and make comments and that type deal. But once a project is approved, that final approval date is the trigger date. And that's the date at which a company can incur expenses that they can get reimbursed under an awarded LEDA grant. Prior to that, we don't look in the rearview mirror. Anything prior to that is off the table. So it's that approval date that counts. There are 2 contracts that can become part of that ordinance. One is the IGA, that's the intergovernmental agreement. That directs the fiscal agent, the government entity, on how they are to handle the funds that the state gives them for this project. And then there's the PPA, the project participation agreement, which is technically between the fiscal agent and the company, and it's going to determine all of the benchmarks that must be achieved. It lays out clawbacks in the event of default. It lays out dates. Everything is in those 2 documents. And again, it takes roughly 60 to 90 days to make it through that entire process. It's a little bit of an event. So, okay, Jennifer, next slide, please. Oh, back one, please.
Oh.
Okay, and this is my most important and second to last slide. I'm almost done. Okay. LEDA is the LEDA fund is nicknamed the Job Creation Fund. That should give you an idea of where we're headed. We're always looking for a job, and matter of fact, by law, a job creation component is mandatory in a LEDA project. LEDA is a discretionary tool. It is not formulaic. We cannot say, if you put in this many dollars in CapEx and hire this many people, we'll give you this much. It doesn't work that way. It is a discretionary tool that's administered by the executive branch. So we're going to evaluate all that information, and then they'll make a decision at what level we can come in, if we can come in. Expenses are reimbursed as performance milestones are achieved. Funding is not provided to the company pre-performance. So I'm going to tie that to the last bullet point here. LEDA is an incentive to close the funding gap. It is not a funding mechanism. If you need LEDA to go ahead and complete your project, you're probably not going to be qualifying. That's not a guarantee, but we want to see a fully financially backed project. before we go ahead and come in. It's not like going to the bank and getting a loan. Additionally, the fourth bullet point there, very, very important. Any LEDA awardee is required by law to provide security on that award for the duration of the project. Think of LEDA more as a reimbursable loan than a grant. In the end, the money is yours. However, you have to be able to provide security, and that does tend to be a tripping point. So it's an important point to pay attention to. Next slide, please, Ms. Jennifer. Okay, here's my last slide. This link right here will take you to our website, the LEDA page on our website. If you want more information, you can find it here or your regional rep. Always, always, always reach out to your regional rep. So I hope that's helpful for all of you. Please never hesitate to reach out to us. We are absolutely here to help. And thank you very much. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you so much, Louise. Next up, we have Joanna Nelson, our Strategic Program Manager, to talk about FUNDIT and Collateral Assistance Program. Hey, Joanna.
Hey, Jennifer. Hey, all. Thanks so much. It's great to see so many friends and colleagues on the attendee list. So sending hellos out there. Wish we could all be in person. But today, I am hopefully going to shed a little bit of light about two programs that are really focused on how we help connect capital to you, to your community, to your business. We've got two projects, or two programs rather, that I want to hopefully make sure you understand that you can call us and we can discuss more about how we can connect capital to your projects. So the first one is FUNDIT, and FUNDIT is an informal group that we gather together all of the organizations with capital that have financing programs, and you can see some of those listed in these little tiny logos at the bottom. We also are bringing together expertise. We're bringing together the COG directors, the Council of Government directors. We're bringing together the regional reps. We are bringing together knowledge and financing programs to get together at one place, at one time, one table, and hear pitches from our community partners, from our stakeholders that have projects that they're looking for funding for. And so I see some local government folks on the call today. You know that it can be very challenging to understand where to begin and how to navigate the numerous programs that are out there that could potentially help fund your community development or your economic development or your infrastructure projects. Just like what we're doing today, we're trying to shine light and educate, bring awareness to our funding programs just in EDD. You get outside of EDD and it exponentially grows all the opportunities that are out there for funding. So the idea behind FUNDIT is how can we bring all those players together that we can help collaborate, that we can help crowdsource not only the information and expertise that's out there, but also we can hopefully see leveraging where you might have USDA saying, hey, I can come in and fund the water part. Or you might have EDA coming in and saying, well, I'm going to come in and I can help with the infrastructure part. You might have a Department of Environment coming in with a brownfields component. So we're hopeful that if you have a community project that's related to economic development, that's multifaceted, and I'm not talking about just the roof on your city hall, but I'm talking about a multi-component project like a downtown revitalization project, a Main Street project, some type of project that has numerous components. You can apply to FUNDIT, and if that project is selected, you'll have the opportunity to present that at the FUNDIT group. Ideally, what's going to happen, you'll see that brainstorming, you'll see the collaboration, you'll see the leveraging of the different funders coming in, and we can help you navigate and show you, hold your hand to find and identify those funding opportunities for your project. And then following up, the idea is that we'll have, or we have, whether it's our regional rep or our FUNDIT coordinator, can help you continue to be successful with your project or continue to identify more funding sources. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. This is a very give and take collaborative process. So feel free to reach out to myself or to our regional reps, and we can talk through your project and explore and brainstorm and identify opportunities. We want you to be successful with this. One plug to mention really quickly with this program, we do have an open call that I want to make sure that folks are aware of. We're trying to find a coordinator that can help us with FUNDIT. We really want to expand this and improve this process. So if you have any leads in your communities, we have an open call, and I'll put that link to that open call for proposals in the chat. But really excited to see some of the improvements FUNDIT is making. And Jennifer, if you can go to the next slide. Speaking of improvements, the website for FUNDIT was a recent improvement that we've been working on over the last couple of months. But basically, we've taken that concept of how can we help provide those connections for you to our network of numerous funders online. And so if you go to nmfundit.org, this is the beginning of the FUNDIT online hub. Still a work in progress, but you can check it out. And that's where you can immediately see those contacts of who in the heck do you contact with USDA, with our federal partners, with our state partners, the COGS, the regional rep. So all that contact information is there. We've also been playing around with the idea of a public forum. You can log on and ask your question in real time, crowdsource that question and try to find the expertise that exists in our communities throughout the state, because guaranteed there's a similar project that has been around, or someone's tried it, someone's been there and done that. Also, we've got a project pipeline. This is where you can access previous projects for the last couple of years. You can see contact information, how much money was requested, etc. And then we've also got this resource finder. And so what you can do is you can filter through components to find what applicable funding sources are available. So if you can see this gray box that's on the left hand of your screen, when I mentioned that ideally the projects coming through FUNDIT are multifaceted, if we're looking at a downtown revitalization project, if we're looking at a business incubator project, we might have different components. So planning's involved, infrastructure's involved, maybe water, transportation, etc. And so you can filter through and see some of those idea starters and some of those funds that are available. And again, this website is a work in progress. I think we'll probably have a polished version over the next couple of months, but feel free to check it out. And if you have any feedback on it, let us know. So I'll go ahead and switch to the next slide and talk about Collateral Assistance Program. This is another program that we have within EDD that's about how do we increase your access to capital. FUNDIT is more about public projects. It's more about economic development projects. Collateral Assistance Program is about connecting capital to our businesses. So we're switching sides and we're getting into the commercial side. This is our way to tell banks that we're going to guarantee commercial loans and we're going to put up some collateral so our banks will make more loans to our businesses. So how this works is that a business might have a shortfall in collateral. We see this a lot with startup businesses. Maybe it's a service industry that doesn't have a lot of assets that they can put up for collateral. We know, especially during COVID, our banks are hesitant to lend. They're looking for extra security to lower their risk. So what EDD is able to do is we say, you know what, here's a CD, we're going to put cash in the bank, it's a way of guaranteeing the loan to say that if this loan, unfortunately, if it were to happen, if it goes south, if it defaults, we're going to give the loan, or we're going to give the bank cash. We're going to guarantee this loan. So we can collateralize a loan up to 50% of that principal. We won't go more than 50%, and we won't go more than $250,000. This program is specifically targeted to giving a leg up to our 9 targeted industries, and you can see those listed in this text box, and we can get you more information about that. And then we also are wanting to really focus on underserved markets. And so what we define underserved is socially and economically disadvantaged, not just race, but also gender, location. If you're in a rural area, are you a veteran? Is this a tribal owned business? And so all of those factors, are you a targeted industry? Are you a socially economically disadvantaged business owner? That's how we get to our maximum participation, 50% of the principal or $250,000. Just because you might not fit in, or your business might not fit into these components, doesn't mean you can't participate, but it might just be a smaller amount, 20%, 30% of the principal. This is a really exciting program that hopefully enables that business to get over this barrier, this minor barrier of not having enough collateral to get a loan. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, any of the reps, Jennifer, anyone on our great team, and we'll get you more information about this. And I will put my contact, my email in the chat, and reach out, call, email, here to help. So thank you so much for your time. Great to see everyone, and look forward to hearing the rest of the presentation. Thanks, Jennifer. I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. You summarize it so well. And next up, we have JTip. We have Avelina Borrego will be presenting for the JTip for Patrick Gannon. Avelina, are you able to unmute and get on camera? There she is. All right, go ahead, Avelina.
Hello, everybody. I'm Avelina Borrego. I am the JTip marketing coordinator, and I am standing in place for Patrick Gannon, the program manager. Today, I am going to be speaking about the Job Training Incentive Program. This program has been in state statute since 1972. This program is intended to help to reimburse qualified companies for a portion of expenses associated with training new employees and newly created jobs. Qualified companies are economic base who are expanding and can show that they are financially viable. The types of industry that the JTip program serves are manufacturers, companies relocating to New Mexico, startups and early stage companies, non-retail service providers with at least 50% of the income from customers out of state. Examples of these types of companies may be call centers, R&D and engineering firms, logistics, HQ and shared services, IT and technology. We also provide training funds to green industry, businesses that exist for the sole purpose of contributing directly to preserving or enhancing environmental quality. JTip will provide reimbursement for training for newly created positions that are full-time, year-round, and meet a minimum wage requirement. A trainee must be a new hire to the company, must reside in New Mexico, and have lived in New Mexico for 1 continuous year at one time in their life, and are currently domiciled in New Mexico at the time of hire. You could change the slide, Jen. JTip is a wage reimbursement program that offers a base reimbursement percentage that ranges from up to 50% in urban locations, 65% in rural locations, and up to 75% in frontier, economically distressed, and Native American locations. Companies which are hiring recent graduates and or of New Mexico education institutions, or any U.S. veterans or individuals that have graduated out of the New Mexico Care Foster System may be eligible for an additional 5% on top of the base. Companies which meet the wage requirement for a high wage jobs tax credit may be eligible for an additional 5% as well on top of the base. And JTip eligibility opens up eligibility for high wage job enrolled tax credits. Reimbursable hours range from 2 to 6 months depending on the complexity of the job and the wages. A company can apply for JTip funds so as long as they meet the criteria for being a manufacturer or non-retail service-based company. To receive funding for JTip, companies must be approved by the JTip board prior to hiring eligible employees. The JTip board meets monthly on the second Friday of the month. Next slide, please, Jennifer. And companies meet with the staff to confirm eligibility and review program guidelines and to plan application timelines. So I am the individual that meets with the companies and determines their eligibility. And once I have determined the eligibility, then I would move forward with opening up an application, which is on the Salesforce web portal. It is an online application. The application consists of company, financial, and job information, including a 6-month hiring projection, job descriptions and training plans, and a training budget. And through this process, we identify with companies the approved positions or the projected and or requested positions to be approved by our board. The board is then presented with these proposals, and a company representative will also attend this board meeting on behalf of the company in order to receive the funding. The board is the final decision maker for the request, and the JTip board consists of representatives from the Economic Development Department, the Department of Workforce Solutions, Higher Education, Public Education Department, and Organized Labor and Private Sector. Once a company is approved for the JTip funding, then we also, as a staff, provide training for project administration and technical assistance throughout the 1-year period. So basically, the JTip program is offered to companies after they have been approved for the funding. Then the idea is that the company has the first 6 months of their year contract to hire for the requested positions, and then the next 6 months for each of those hires to successfully complete their training hours. So the reimbursement does come to a company once the individual has successfully completed their training hours, and within that year contract, there are also compliance review and a final audit to just ensure that they've met all of the JTip eligibility and criteria, and reimbursement then thereafter. So if you have any questions or are interested in the program, I'd be happy to meet and speak with you and see if that the JTip program fits your company needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Evelina. Next up is Main Street. We've got Lucas Pedraza, project coordinator for Main Street. Pedraza, I'm sorry.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Lucas Pedraza, project coordinator with New Mexico Main Street. So my primary responsibilities are to manage our projects, our capital outlay projects with our communities and around New Mexico. Also, we have some grants opportunities available to some of our small communities. And I'll talk a little bit about what it means to be a Main Street program or a Frontier Urban Corridor program. So just a brief overview of what we are. So New Mexico Main Street is actually a part of a network of Main Streets that are around the state, around the United States. Different states have different kinds of, flavors of what we do here. What we do is certify local communities to become actual Main Street programs. So we've been in existence for the past 37 years, and we are an asset-based community economic development program. And what that means is that we work with local stakeholders, a local nonprofit organization, to really establish a program in a commercial district, which is usually the downtown of a local community. The program's core objective is downtown revitalization and redevelopment. We build capacity for local economic revitalization and redevelopment efforts. So we work with the local nonprofit, the local stakeholders, as well as the local municipal government. to do this. And we enhance the entrepreneurial and creative economy within these communities and create thriving places in New Mexico. Next slide. So we work with the National Main Streets 4-point approach. So what I'll do is I'll just sort of go through these points to give you an idea of how we get to the community transformation we want to see with the communities we work with. So we work with a team of about 11 revitalization specialists that specialize in each one of these points. So I'll start with the design of a community. And what we mean by that is we're trying to create attractive commercial districts within our communities. Usually we use capital outlay money to improve public infrastructure, and which means that we improve parks, pedestrian safety, sidewalks, benches. Sometimes it's murals and those kinds of things, and art projects within a community. And we also run facade squad projects when we are able to find funding for grants to local businesses to help them improve their facades. So the next point is the promotion point. We work with our local communities to identify the unique assets within their community and how to strategically market themselves to new businesses, to attract new businesses and investment, as well as bring visitors and tourists within their communities to support the local economy and get people shopping within their community. And we also, so with those kind of projects, they're usually helping to develop logos, websites, and marketing campaigns for the local community. The next point is the organization point. Each Main Street community has, as I mentioned before, its own nonprofit organization. And it usually has a board made up of different kinds of people from the community, stakeholders, businesses, anybody from the community really can join a Main Street program and help drive the work. And what we do is help develop their capacity to hire employees to carry out economic development projects. And we help them understand how they can raise funds on their own and also develop a local contract with their local municipality to carry out the work and fund the program. And the programs themselves develop their own sort of programs that assist local businesses within the community. So the last point really is what this is all about, is creating economic vitality within these communities that we work with. In this point, we work with local organizations to develop projects or programs that help strengthen and diversify the local community's economy. So these kind of projects can range from business incubation programs. One of our communities started their own food truck incubation project. And also during the pandemic, a lot of the projects were really helping local businesses establish e-commerce as part of their web platforms and really help them promote their online presence online. So next slide. So we have a total of 31 Main Street programs around the state that are active. So there's a lot of steps that go into it. There's usually a local group of stakeholders who come together and talk to their local municipality to actually try to apply to us to become a Main Street program. And we work with them to build up their organization to be able to actually become a full Main Street program. But most of the time, what I want to sort of highlight here is that most of our projects or Main Street programs come out of the Frontier Native Communities Initiative project. And we also now have launched the Urban Neighborhood Commercial Corridor project. And that'll be opening up within the next month or so. So if you are interested, I suggest that you go to our website, nmmainstreet.org, to see the kind of projects that we do for our communities, with our communities, and keep an eye on when our next cycle will open up if you're interested in applying. And so we work with, in the Frontier Native Community and Urban Corridors projects, is we work with communities to select one project that they'll work on for 12 to 16 months, and it'll sort of help them understand how the Main Street model works and start building some of that organizational capacity to eventually become a Main Street program if they choose to, or they can just reapply whenever they feel like they have something they need some assistance from us for. So that's pretty much what I got today.
Well, Thank you so much, Lucas. That's a lot of information and exciting stuff going on. Next, we have Alex Greenberg, the Director of Science and Technology Office. Unfortunately, Alex could not be here, and so I'm going to be presenting for him. I'll try to replicate his speedy delivery during his section. So let's go ahead and move forward. So the Office of Science and Technology, or OST, was created to connect New Mexico's innovation infrastructure to the commercial market. The OST strives to lead and execute programs that encourage and enable the startup, growth, and relocation of technology-based industries. Its mission is to drive the development, scaling, and implementation of advanced technologies. OST facilitates the activities of the Technology Research Collaborative Board. Their goal is to establish technology-centered based on a wealth of scientific and technical talent, to deliver and create new intellectual property, or IP, for the state and encourage new opportunities for businesses and increase jobs, to commercialize the IP that is created and create a workforce to support the enterprise. The office also facilitates the Science and Technology Grant Program and the SBIR Matching Grant, which I'll talk about in the next slide. So if you're interested in any of this, please reach out to Alex directly. His information is on the slide, and you can just contact him or email him as well. So I mentioned two programs that I want to talk about. The Science and Technology Business Startup Grants are for high growth New Mexico companies in the science and technology fields with fewer than 50 employees. The grant amount ranges from $10,000 to $25,000. Now, eligibility is New Mexico based for profit science and technology companies in the following industries: aerospace, biosciences, cybersecurity, intelligent manufacturing, sustainable and green energy. The deadline for that grant opportunity is January 31st, so get your applications in as soon as possible. The Small Business Innovation Research Grant, which is SBIR, are competitive federal grants that support small businesses engaged in research and development, or R&D, with the potential for commercialization. SBIR grants can cover costs associated with R&D, but do not cover related expenses to business development. New Mexico SBIR grant provides recipients additional resources to commercialize the technology development and federal SBIR funding. This program leverages the fact that SBIR recipients have technology vetted by national experts and provide funding that covers proof of concept and R&D funding. I don't think I said it as fast as Alex usually will, but I tried. So next up, we have New Mexico Film Office. Amber Dodson, Director of New Mexico Film Office, was pulled into another meeting last minute, so we were able to get Jennifer Esquivel, Senior Manager.
Thanks, Jennifer. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Esquivel, and I'm the Senior Manager of Marketing Communications for the Film Office. Amber's sorry that she couldn't be here today, but she is working on some exciting projects that we will probably be announcing in the next couple of months. So to go ahead and get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about the office. The New Mexico Film Office works to market New Mexico for film, television, commercial, and multimedia production. The office administers the New Mexico Film Tax Incentive Program. The office services productions, fosters the development of local talent and crew, and promotes New Mexico locations and local vendors. New Mexico is a premier film and television production hub, offering a highly competitive tax incentive and ecosystem of existing infrastructure, including stages, film industry support businesses like camera houses and costume shops, a well-established statewide network of film-friendly communities and businesses, an experienced local talent and crew base, higher education programs that are fueling the workforce pipeline and evolving to meet the industry needs, and unique assets that can't be replicated anywhere else. Next slide. Due to decades of work, New Mexico has grown from preferred location to production hub. Our state is home away from home to Netflix and NBC Universal, who have opened production facilities in Albuquerque and have made a 10-year commitment to the state. These commitments have resulted in major growth for the industry in recent years. In FY21, we had record-breaking $626.5 million in direct spend, and we are on track to break that record again in fiscal year 22. In a recent economic impact study, it was reported that New Mexico saw $1.39 billion in economic output from FY20 to FY21. And the film industry employs an estimated 9,000 New Mexicans at an average wage of $59,000 annually. Next slide. New Mexico, what makes it a unique place and what really attracts productions to the state is that it offers an entire package, an ecosystem of assets that make it attractive. The number one asset that we offer is the competitive film incentive that I mentioned. And the state offers 25 to 35% of a refundable tax incentive back to productions who spend in New Mexico. And then also New Mexico created a film partner program recently. And what that requires is a 10-year commitment to purchase or lease a qualified production facility. The partners are exempt from the $110 million cap and provide workforce training internship opportunities to New Mexicans. Our current film partners are, of course, Netflix and NBC Universal. In addition, New Mexico offers productions a 5% uplift for productions that film outside of the Bernalillo and Santa Fe counties. This is one way that we're pushing film into every corner of the state. And then again, like I mentioned, as part of the ecosystem is the support businesses from camera houses, costume houses, all of those add up to making the production experience one that's of ease. And then another thing that we offer is a talented crew. We can't hear enough good things about the crew and the talent that New Mexico offers to the productions. Really world-class crew, hardworking. All the accolades go out to the crew all the time. And then, of course, it's just a 90-minute flight from LA. The state is a 90-minute flight away, and a lot of directors, producers love that fact, and it's often an easier commute than when they drive and shoot in California. So that's often something that is mentioned. And then we offer a treasure trove of locations all across the state, as well as a network of film liaisons who work with productions on the ground, helping them get used to the different communities, the process for getting a permit, the resources that the communities offer, all of those sorts of things. And then, if you didn't hear, for the 4th year in a row, two New Mexico cities were named top places to live and work by Movie Maker magazine. And Santa Fe is number 3 for small cities and towns, and Albuquerque number 1 for the 4th year in a row. And so that's really an attractive thing, that you can both live and work as a movie maker here in New Mexico. Next. One thing that the New Mexico Film Office is doing is to constantly work to expand our crew base and meet that high demand from productions. As production has continued to ramp up, there's a high demand for crew that is a trained crew, and so we are working to provide training programs that skill up New Mexicans in order to jump into the industry and become part of the crew. And so one program is the Film Crew Advancement Program. This is an on-the-job training program for union represented positions. It focuses on New Mexico residents working in primarily technical union represented positions, and is an incentive for participating employers to provide job opportunities to New Mexico residents who are ready to move up within the department or adding a new skill set. Another program, which is sort of a subsidiary of FCAP, is Operation Soundstage. This is another on-the-job training program focused on getting New Mexico veterans who have transferable skills into below-the-line crew positions, and also participating in this this industry. 2 programs that we rolled out in 2021 are the Production Accounting Training Program. This is a partnership with CNM, and it allows those with an accounting background, a bookkeeping background, to transition into production accounting and use their skills in that area. There was a demand for that, and so we worked with CNM to roll out that program. And then Another program is the PA Boot Camp. That's a production assistant boot camp program. That's another partnership with CNM that's ongoing through April, I believe. And that program is meant to get New Mexicans trained up at the entry-level position of a production assistant. And most of those who complete those two programs are finding employment pretty close to right after they complete the program. And then a few other programs that the New Mexico Film Office have put out and hope to have future funding to bring back are the Senator John Pinto grant program, which was $5,000 grants to native New Mexican filmmakers to help them assist in production work, post-production, pre-production, and then also the Intimacy Coordinator Training Program, which was a partnership with Amanda Blumenthal, who's a professional within the industry. So those are our training programs. If you want to go to the next slide. One way, one of the most popular questions we get is how do we get involved in the New Mexico film and television industry? And there are multiple ways. You don't necessarily have to be a crew member. You don't necessarily have to be an actor or any of that. One way is if you have a business and provide a good or service that can be utilized by the industry, you can register to become a qualified film vendor. That application is through the Taxation and Revenue Department. The link is on the slide as well as on our website. And that gets you on a list that designates you as a qualified film vendor that the productions use to source goods and services. Lots of businesses have taken advantage of this, and there are cafes that provide lunches. There's lots of catering service that's needed for productions, and there's one cafe in particular that this revenue stream saved their business during COVID, and so we really want to encourage businesses to take advantage of this opportunity. Another is for property owners to list their property as a film location. This could be your house, this could be your business, this could be an empty lot that's used as a base camp or for parking. We just want to get more people registering their property as a film location. It's another way to generate revenue, and so the way to do that is to contact our office, just send an email, info@nmfilm.com. One thing I would stress is that you don't have to do anything to your property. A lot of times productions are completely happy with a little shack in the middle of nowhere. That's don't worry about making sure it's picture perfect. You can just send in photos of things just the way they are, and within that you can also one thing that's popular in New Mexico is to have a strong car culture, and so if you also own unique vehicles and things like that, that goes along with listing your property as a in the database. And so and then finally just participating in the New Mexico Film Office training programs is a way to get your foot in the door, as well as becoming an extra. That's a good way to see how it works on set and see if it's a lifestyle and an industry that can work for you. And finally, next slide, if you just want to have any questions, feel free to contact our office either by email or get on our website or connect with us on social media.
Great, thank you so much, Jennifer, and congratulations on those new rankings. That's really exciting. So moving on, I've asked Sarah Gutierrez to briefly discuss the Office of International Trade. So go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Jennifer. The Office of International Trade was created by the legislature within our department to support job creation, retention, and expansion, as our other programs do, by assisting New Mexico companies to really capitalize on the opportunities in the global marketplace, and specifically with export opportunities. The objective is to increase the number of small businesses that are exporting and to increase the value of those exports for those small businesses that are currently exporting abroad. We have partnered for the past about 10 years with the State Trade Expansion Program through the Small Business Administration Office of International Trade. We've been fortunate to receive grants from that entity over, like I said, the last about 10 years. And so currently we have entered into an agreement to work with the New Mexico Trade Alliance to really help us market and expand our reach with that state trade expansion program, the STEP grant, as it's commonly called. And so we're really excited because over the past year, Randy Trask and Celeste Nunez, whose contact information that you can see on the slide, have really expanded the reach of this program and the awareness. And so we've been able to award grants to companies that have never participated before, that are new to export, and some that are not new to export, but expanding their export opportunities. So I really encourage you, if you are working with a company or you are a company that is exporting or interested in exporting your product out of New Mexico, please reach out to Randy and Celeste. Celeste is actually the primary point of contact for the STEP grant. And Randy and Celeste and their team there can also provide really great technical assistance on any questions about exporting. International trade and global trade. I'll mention that one of the things that the STEP grant assists companies with is to offset the cost of, for example, having a booth at an international trade show, or shipping the product to that trade show so that you have samples and marketing materials. The STEP program can also help you cover part of the cost of optimizing your website for international trade and e-commerce, which is a really great tool and benefit right now. That's a fairly new aspect of the benefits. They can help with gold key services through the Department of Commerce, coupled with the trade show allowance. They can help you with market research, and there's a variety of things that you can benefit from that grant. So like I said, please don't hesitate to contact me or Celeste and Randy there at the Trade Alliance, and they'll give you all the information you need. I will say that our funds for this fiscal year are fully obligated. However, we do have a waiting list, and we are working on figuring out how we can get some more funding for this fiscal year, while anxiously awaiting our opportunity to apply for the next STEP grant through the SBA, hopefully sometime this spring. So stay tuned for that information. And thank you, Jennifer. I'll kick it back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. And yeah, the New Mexico Trade Alliance it's a great group. Okay, good. And next up, we have the Director of Outdoor Rec. Axie, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much. It's really great to be here. I'm going to give a 30,000-foot overview of some of the work that's going on at the Outdoor Recreation Division, give you a sense of the genesis of this division within the Economic Development Department and what some of our priorities are. So we can go right to the next slide. One more past this one, although everyone can see this awesome art that is from a New Mexican, all about New Mexicans. That's what we really celebrate, especially in these slides here. We work with a lot of graphic designers and photographers who are based in New Mexico and showcasing all of our beautiful landscapes. So this is our mission. Outdoor Recreation Division works to ensure that all New Mexicans gain from the public health, environmental, and economic benefits of sustainable outdoor recreation. We really think that outdoor recreation necessitates this holistic view because of how we all interact with it. It's so key to our well-being as residents of New Mexico. It's of course a tourism draw for people out of state, which then means real economic energy in communities all over New Mexico, especially some of our rural communities. Next slide. So this is some of the table setting. These are the stats that we lean into. This is all from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, so that that federal agency that's charged with all of the federal GDP data as well. So according to the BEA, in 2020, New Mexico's outdoor economy contributed $1.9 billion to state GDP, and it employed over 25,000 people with about $1 billion in income. So it's already a powerhouse. We're here to support the companies that make up the backbone of those numbers. Next slide. So how do we break up that work into the holistic vision that we're talking about? Well, one of them, this is a cornerstone of the office, is economic and community development. What does that look like in practice? It looks like sitting down with companies in the outdoor recreation space one-on-one and helping connect them to all of the great programs you've heard about today. Serving as I serve as a liaison in many ways with these individual owners, with these founders, and help connect them with programs like LEDA, like JTip, like our awesome Main Street team. There's a lot of communities that are really interested in connecting Main Street and downtown businesses with their outdoor recreation assets. Another program I'll cite really quickly, it's an exciting one ongoing right now. We've funded a series of incubators and accelerators to support outdoor recreation startups. So over the past 6 or 7 months or so, the 3 accelerators that we funded in 2021 have worked with about 70 outdoor recreation startups. That work's been completed at New Mexico State University just a few months ago. It's ongoing in Sandoval County, and it's also ongoing at UNM. UNM has an outdoor recreation certificate program that they're actually rolling out right now, this month and next. So really exciting work within that entrepreneurial space, excuse me, of the outdoor recreation industry. Next slide. This is just an example of what that looks like in practice. So you'll see under the headline, light as a feather, that's the first LEDA investment that the outdoor recreation was able to help shepherd through. It's with this incredible company, Earth Traveler Teardrop Trailers, based in Santa Fe. They are manufacturing super lightweight trailers. You see it here, they weigh about 250 pounds, so they could be towed with a Fiat. We helped invest about $100,000 through the LEDA program that you learned about from Luis into this company. The city of Santa Fe invested another $25,000, and it's going to help Angel and Laura, the 2 owners of this company, hire about 23 people over the next several years. So that's the type of homegrown energy that we're here to support, and those are really the people who are responsible for the growth of the outdoor economy. Another example, we've worked with a number of gear manufacturers, cycling manufacturers who have either have deep roots in New Mexico or have recently moved here, in part because how great the trail riding is, to start their business and build bikes in this space. And especially considering the fact that COVID-19, the pandemic, the fact that we were, for many of us, stuck inside and looking to new activities has driven the growth of the cycling industry by about 150%, according to industry trade groups. It's a really powerful sector of the economy to be supporting right now. We see a ton of growth in that space. Next slide. This is the infrastructure upon which businesses rely, healthy lands and waters. It's the outdoor access is so key, both to us as residents of New Mexico, but then also to these companies, guides, outfitters, gear manufacturers who use these places as testing grounds, who use them as their offices. So that's the vision behind the Trails Plus grant. This is a grant that invests in shovel-ready outdoor recreation infrastructure like the Chili Line Trail in Santa Fe, which you can see in this photo to the right. In 2021, we invested just about $500,000 in 25 projects across the state. Most of those, 64%, were in rural communities. The ask was still for 2.5 times that amount. So we could easily have funded 2.5 times that amount, even with a narrow scope of a grant. Now, really excited about this, the grant is funded with $7 million. So what that's going to enable us to do is to both increase the number of awards, but then also that scope. We're really interested in some landscape scale projects of up to $500,000. So that is a grant that's going to be opening likely in March. You heard it here first. You can find all those details on our website, which we'll get to in just a few slides, and then I'll drop my contact info if you're interested in learning more about that. But we're going to publicize it heavily. It'll be open this spring on a rolling basis, and we're excited to get this funding out to New Mexicans all over the state. Next slide.
Sorry about that.
No, all good. We can go through these fairly quickly. These are just examples of what I mean when I say outdoor recreation infrastructure. Often it looks like maintenance of existing trail systems. So this is a trail system that could use some maintenance according to the Continental Divide Trail Coalition. The grant that they were awarded is going to be used to improve this trail, to improve the fencing, to improve the actual developed trail, prevent trespass on private property, and enable better rural access to this part of the CDT outside of Lordsburg. Next slide. Another really cool example, this is work going on in Silver City, another Trails Plus grant to do some renovations to their historic waterworks building site. They're going to be bringing in a business incubator, outdoor classroom, and ultimately using this as a community center and southern trailhead of the Continental Divide Trail. They get a lot of cyclists, they get a lot of through hikers who come through on that trail. The idea behind this particular site is to make sure that those recreationists are coming to Silver City, spending their money in Main Street, you know, experiencing all the beautiful Silver City has to offer before continuing on their route. Next slide. Another program we're really excited about that fits squarely within public health education is the Outdoor Equity Fund. It was created in New Mexico by New Mexicans for New Mexicans, and it's now catalyzed similar programs that have copied New Mexico in California and Colorado and a handful of other states across the country. So in the past, last year, we awarded just under $900,000 to 57 applicants. And those 57 applicants are right now, as we speak, getting about 22,000 kids outside. That'll be the result after a full 18-month grant cycle. This fund also saw an additional boost in investment, $3 million from the special session, just like Trails Plus got $7 million from that same special session. We're going to be getting that money out this spring and summer to, again, expand both the number of applicants that we can award as well as the scope of each individual grant. Next slide. So that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot of other exciting work going on kind of at any one time, but that's the 30,000 foot view. Those are our North Stars. That's really what guides us. You can see our website here, nmoutside.com. I encourage you, especially folks who work for municipalities or nonprofits or businesses, really anyone who's interested in outdoor recreation, to check out our website and get in touch with me. And I'll look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Axie. That does sound very exciting. Good stuff happening very quickly, and yeah, you're the first to know. So next up, we have Max Gruner. He's in the dual role of regional rep and tribal liaison, and his camera's working. Awesome. Go ahead, Max.
Hello, everybody. Max Gruner here. It's so good to see all my colleagues at this meeting. I want to give a huge shout out to Jennifer for bringing us all together and providing a venue and a stage for us to present our programs. As Jennifer mentioned, my name is Max. I wear two hats. I serve, similar to Luis, who was the first presenter today, as a regional representative for the New Mexico Economic Development Department, and my catchment area is essentially central New Mexico. I have also been appointed into the role of tribal liaison for the department, and that role I do serve statewide. And Jennifer, if you could move forward. Here's a little bit about myself. The real takeaway of this slide is that, you know, this administration, and explicitly Cabinet Secretary Keyes and Division Director Roper, we are absolutely determined to the idea of working in full partnership with the sovereign governments in New Mexico. And, you know, in everything we do, we really do honor the principles of tribal self-determination and tribal sovereignty as we explore ways of how we might be able to bring the programs that you are hearing about today to some of the visions and ambitions and projects that the sovereign governments, the tribal nations in New Mexico might be trying to actualize. So I'm going to keep this short. My takeaway really for you is that if you are a representative of a tribal government in New Mexico, and you are interested in any of those programs, if you are interested in having a conversation on how to maybe leverage some of the things we have in New Mexico EDD to support some of the projects you are engaged in, please reach out. And also, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner with a tribal affiliation, whether you're on or off tribal land, if you would like to learn more about these programs, whether it be Main Streets, whether it be JTip, whether it be the outdoor rec, please reach out, and I would be absolutely thrilled to try to surround you with kind of the resources and the expertise of some of the people you're hearing from today. And with that, I will sign off, but I will stick around and I'll stand for questions if anybody has any. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Max. Next up is Shawnee Harvey. She is our first Jedi role within the department. And kudos to her because she's kind of doing 2 different meetings at the same time. So I'm happy to have her. So go ahead, Shawnee.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me, Jennifer? I'm assuming it's working. I'm going to keep going.
Good. You're good.
My name is Shawnee Harvey, and I am the JEDI coordinator for the Economic Development Department. For those of you who are a little confused about that acronym, I am the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Coordinator. And I am new to this role. It's a newly created position. I've been doing it for about 10 months while balancing another job, and it's really been great. So we can go into the job role, and I'll explain a little bit about what it is that I do. And what I do is I connect businesses and entrepreneurs and community organizations with different resources and programs that the department has to offer. And I work to also promote accessibility and awareness in historically underserved communities. So I'm kind of like an advocate and a liaison for business owners who wouldn't traditionally do business with the state, or if you have any reservations about doing business with the state or are not familiar with the process. I kind of see myself as an advocate and an ally for you and your business to be able to help walk you through programs, get you connected to the right agencies, get you connected to the right people in our department, and really just step by step go with you through this process so that you feel like you have someone in your corner that's advocating for you. Sometimes I like to describe it as demystifying state government and making it a little bit more approachable for you to come in and work with us. So if a lot of the stuff that you've been hearing today is a little overwhelming and you don't know where to start, I'm always a great resource to reach out to first. We can talk a little bit about your business and your project. I kind of put it in my brain and mull it around, and we figure out where we can go from there. So that's a little bit about what I do. And I think the last thing on there was that I just have a focus on kind of helping folks expand their businesses and programs in the areas of film, science and technology, and outdoor recreation. So if you have a business that is related to one of those industries, or you're in business and you're curious about how to kind of move into some of those new high growth industries, I'm a really great resource to talk to about that. One of the things that we're really looking forward to during this legislative session is we are actually putting out a request for funding to the legislature for $1.252 million to establish a full JEDI minority support business office. Right now, it's just me as the coordinator, and we are looking at hopefully bringing on a total team of 3, so me plus 2 JEDI coordinators, and really being able to build out the work that my role is doing. And the vision for that office is that we're hoping to have $1 million in annual program funding to be able to expand on existing services and programs, and also hopefully find a way to create some new programs that are going to be specific for those like BIPOC, minority, rural business owners, and a way to create services that are going to be directly impacting those communities that have historically fallen through the cracks. We're really looking forward to that. So if you guys have time and can call your legislators and say that you're in support of the office, or you're interested in seeing more work be done in state government to really champion diversity and equity work and make sure that we create a space where all New Mexicans can thrive regardless of who they are, we'd really appreciate your support in that. And another really interesting piece of that will be hopefully that we'll be able to address equity and diversity in in our department's different programs, as well as through our policies, and do some training and stuff throughout the department as well, to make sure that we as a team are better equipped to serve everyone and can help anyone, no matter who they are, with their business problems, projects, whatever you want to call them. But I'm here, I'm a phone call away. You can always reach out to me if you don't know where to start. Again, I'm a really good place to start with that. And we're really looking forward to seeing this office get established. And if you have any questions, you know, even if our department doesn't have resources that can help you, I always try to be knowledgeable about the entire business support ecosystem. So even if there's not an incentive in our office that works directly for you, we can sit down and find something that will work, even if it's not in economic development and it's somewhere else in the state. So that's all I have for you all. Shawnee Harvey, JEDI coordinator, reach out to me anytime. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to attend. And Shawnee, I have definitely, she has knowledge in like various different areas, and I've used her before with random questions. So feel free to ping her. But I'll let you get back to that other meeting that you're on.
I'm trying to count on this phone, so we'll keep it going.
All right, next up, I've asked Felicia DePaula to introduce the recovery team and discuss some of her programs. So I know Felicia has some internet and technical issues, so I hope she's able to come on video, or at least on audio. Ah, there she is.
Yes. So sorry. I thought Sarah was going to introduce this slide, but I will go for it. So we are part of a COVID recovery team funded through EDD CARES grant money funding. Obviously, Jennifer Myers is our state disaster recovery coordinator, working on recovery technical assistance, conducting webinars such as this, working on our weekly wrap up, which has received a lot of really positive feedback, and then just overall works on recovery coordination. Again, I'm Felicia DePaula. I'm the program development specialist. I manage the Rural Efficient Business Program. I help Joanna Nielsen now a lot with just her, back work on the statewide plan, and also the Sustainable Economy Task Force and Sustainable Economy Advisory Council. And our final member is John Winscott. He's housed out of Energy and Minerals Department. He's the Energy and Economic Diversification Coordinator. So he's essentially working with renewable energy companies, support recruitment through educational training, higher education, and facilitating degree and apprenticeship programs. And we can move on to the next slide, Jen. So as mentioned, I am the manager of the Rural Efficient Business Program, which offers assistance to small businesses and agricultural producers in New Mexico. We offer resources to reduce energy consumption, increase profits, and implement renewable energy systems. So not only do we connect rural businesses to resources for finances, energy assessments through our partnership with New Mexico State University and NMMEP, but we also host a monthly interview series where we interview rural businesses who have already worked towards making retrofits to their businesses to reduce energy consumption. We use this effort to connect businesses to their peers in an effort to create an ecosystem of knowledge and resources. So we just hosted our first interview of the year, and that was yesterday with Brown Rice Internet in Taos, who's done a lot of solar work, and he walked, Oban Lambi walked us through the whole process of applying for REAP funding through USDA. So pay attention to our website. We have an interview every month, and we'll be updating it with some upcoming interviews. We can move on to the next slide, Jen. So through our efforts last year, we reached over 300 businesses and who reached out for assistance, meaning they registered to attend our monthly interviews. And I wanted to highlight specifically San Miguel who we connected to the REAP grant through USDA. And they qualified for 25% of improvements, meaning up to $80,000, making them eligible for a $20,000 refund for some of the recommendations that they received during their energy assessment. So that was a big win for us. We did a little research, and the top industries that have showed interest are breweries, hospitality, agriculture, and service. And the most popular reason, which isn't super surprising, is businesses are looking for financing options to make retrofits to their businesses and have energy assessments conducted on their business. So this can range from anything from a mom and pop business just wanting the minimum of LED installation for lights to lower their electric bill. But the majority of our referrals are coming from the REBP interview series registration, and our most consistent referrals are being made to New Mexico State University, NMSBA, and USDA. So this is both for funding and energy assessments. So that's an overall quick view of what our program offers, and I will turn it over to you, Jen. Please, if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll provide my information in the chat.
Thank you, Felicia, and thank you. Let's see, I move to mine. All right, so everybody, don't worry. I'm the last presenter, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible so we can have some time for questions. So with all my New Mexico Recovery webinar series, I always like to highlight our 8 disaster recovery coordinators. Each region has a regional disaster recovery coordinator available to assist and connect resources to businesses, local governments, and communities. I've outlined their contact information here. And real briefly, I want to talk about a loan program. The New Mexico Finance Authority administers the Small Business Recovery Loan Fund. The program was extended in 2021 session to make available $500 million to provide loans to businesses that experience financial hardship. Eligibility requirements is you have to have less than $5 million in revenue for 2019 or 2020, experience substantial decline on gross revenue, and the interest rate is very attractive, it's 1.625%. It's for a 10-year loan, and eligible expenses include ordinary and necessary business expenses. And the loan is capped at $150,000. And if you'd like to learn more about eligibility or apply for the loan, the link is provided on this slide as well. And oh, here is a sneak peek for an upcoming Business Finance Finder online platform. The purpose of the site that we're working on is to facilitate connections between business needs and financial opportunities. The site will enable businesses to sign up, get matched with a financial institution or technical assistance provider based on their project descriptions. It'll be launching soon, so stay tuned for details on that. And here first, I also want to announce the save the date of the next Business Finance Fair. The goal with this event is to help connect lenders again with business assistance providers for viable projects within their region and connect small businesses to financing resources. Each presenter has 90 seconds to pitch their financial programs, services, and contact information in an online platform. Past events we brought in about 40 presenters and 200 attendees. We compile all the program information and present to all the attendees. So if you're a business owner located in the Northeast region, pencil in February 24th. If you're at a lending institution or a technical assistance provider that covers the Northeast region and would like to be a presenter for it, please reach out to me directly. Okay, once again, you've heard about people have mentioned the weekly wrap up quite a bit, but I'll just try to summarize it in case you're not aware. Once the pandemic hit, the Economic Development Department jumped into action to publish a weekly resource wrap up. It's an e-newsletter full of resources of articles and free webinars, excuse me, and the purpose is to create awareness of relief opportunities and help connect communities and businesses to resources while we're scrambling to figure out the pandemic. Now I'm losing my voice. So EDD is now working to expand the reach of this resource because we're doing a live stream. So every Monday, I will be streaming a quick overview of the wrap up via Facebook, YouTube, podcast, and Twitter in under 15 minutes. Occasionally, the live stream will have special guests to dig in a little deeper into a program. My first guest was the Minority Business Development Agency. It's pictured on the screen. So if you prefer to listen instead of reading our weekly email, plan to tune into our live stream. So I think I did that pretty quick. With that, I wanted to ask Felicia if she could field any of the questions that came in during the presentations.
Sure, I'm going to keep my camera off just because the Wi-Fi is so atrocious. One question that came in is there a map to mark the urban rural frontier areas for JTip?
I am going to defer to Sarah or Evelina if they're still on.
Hi all, I'm still on.
Okay.
There's not a map, but there's a definition, and that you can find that within the JTip policy manual, which you can download from our website at, is it EDD&M.gov? Jennifer, we just updated our new website.
I'll try to find the link and put it in the chat. That's what we'll do.
Okay, Jennifer will put that in the chat. So, but I can tell you, it's fairly easy. Areas or municipalities that are considered urban are those that have a population of 60,000 or more. 60,000 or fewer outside, I'm sorry, within an MSA, a metropolitan statistical area, are considered rural. And then those that are outside an MSA with a population of 15,000 or fewer are considered frontier. And the base reimbursement rates associated with those are 50% for urban, 65% for rural, and 75% for frontier. Frontier also includes any tribal land and the federally designated colonias.
Great, thank you so much. I'm trying to, I found a link. Was that any more questions, Felicia?
Yes, there is a question about mentorship. So it says, I'm a film video editor and there is a need of assistant editors in New Mexico. Is there any program that can help for internship funds? Not for me, but for the mentee. I am a woman, small business owner and mentee. And I'm in the vendor list at the NMFO and based in Albuquerque.
So unfortunately, Jennifer Esquivel had to drop off for another meeting. She did say if there's any film related questions to use the website that she sent the email. I think it's info@nmfilm.com. So I would suggest that you forward that information to that email as well. And I'll put that in the chat.
And then there's another film question, so we will skip that one and I will pass it on to you so they can get in touch with Jennifer. And that is it. Otherwise, it was just Celeste providing her information and just saying, hi, everyone. I'd like to connect regarding exporting the NM STEP grant. So please email her and I will include that in the chat.
Well, great. That means we covered everything so well that there's not a lot of questions. So with that, I just want to thank all my presenters. They did such a great job of summarizing their programs, providing updates. And I also want to thank everybody that's hanging in there and, listen to all of these different programs. I know it's quite a lot. But I mean, the overarching thing is everybody keeps mentioning is we're a phone call away and we answer our phone. So feel free to contact us with any questions. And with that, I guess I'll go ahead and conclude the webinar. You guys have a great rest of your day.